I had an interest in science and particularly the practical aspects of it since childhood. It gradually grew and developed especially as I began studying at a school which specialized in maths and physics, and eventually I decided to pursue engineering professionally. There was no particular moment of revelation that made me instantaneously realize that this is what I wanted to do. It was a cumulative experience of a lifetime of learning science and how science and inventions shaped history and human civilization that made me gradually realize that I want to pursue engineering. So this is actually an interesting question. It is true that my entire family has a background in humanities, and my father is a writer, he's a poet. There's actually this interesting fact about two famous physicists of the 20th century, J. Robert Oppenheimer, who is considered to be the father of the atomic bomb, and Paul Dirac, who is one of the founders of quantum physics. Famously, Oppenheimer was very passionate about poetry, and Paul Dirac once expressed criticism on this interest of Oppenheimer. He remarked that poetry serves to express simple ideas in an overcomplicated way with a complex language. Whereas the objective of science is actually diametrically opposite. It serves to simplify, it serves to express the complex universe with simple formulas in a simple way and to make sense of it. And the purpose of engineering is to use these scientific ideas to create useful mechanisms. And while the latter part is true, I would disagree with the former, that the poetry serves to overcomplicate simple ideas. Both science and poetry are sort of fundamentally different ways of perceiving one and the same reality and describing one and the same reality. It's just poetry serves to describe different aspects of that reality. It serves to describe emotional facets, historical, cultural, and to put those aspects into poems with a human language. Whereas science is concerned with more technical aspects like black holes and origins of the universe and stars, etc. But stars, black holes, humans, human emotions, they all constitute the same exact reality, which both poetry and science approach in different ways. And I don't mean to say that they are the same thing, but there is this interesting similarity between them. And back to the point, I'm not sure if there's a direct connection between interests in poetry and science. I won't go as far as to say that my father, being a poet, somehow led me to pursue engineering. I wouldn't say that, but maybe there is some kind of a connection here. I'm not particularly sure. As mentioned, from year 7 onwards, I went to a school that specialized in mathematics and physics. It is a very different school compared to other schools in Georgia. The math and physics curriculum is much more intense, and we had a number of annual exams in both subjects. The school fostered a perfect academic environment for students with similar scientific interests. There I met a lot of my future friends who also had a scientific interest, and I met a lot of people a lot of teachers who had their individual approaches to problem solving and teaching. And throughout the years, the school helped me to deepen my knowledge in these subjects, which helped me enormously with the interview and the admissions test to Cambridge. It's true that I prepared for ENGA on my own. ENGA is the Cambridge Engineering Admissions Exam, and now it's called ESAT. I started preparation in August. The exam was in October, so it lasted until the day of the exam, the preparation process. And because I chose to prepare on my own, I had to stay focused and keep my eyes on the ball for the entire duration. The first thing that I did was I familiarized myself with the specification, which included the material that could appear in the exam. There were some topics that were unfamiliar, so I had to acquaint myself with them through A-level textbooks or the internet. And simultaneously, I began attempting the past papers of ENGA. I think they are available from the year 2016 onwards. And I realized that the main skill that I had to improve was speed. The exam places a very tight time constraint on the students. I think the average time per problem was 90 seconds, which isn't much. So I had to get as fast as I possibly could get, and for that I had to practice a lot. I did all the past papers, and I try to find similar problems from other sources like A-level textbooks, and I always timed myself to recreate the conditions of the actual exams of the exam. And also I memorized the formulas that I thought could be useful on the day of the exam. For example, there were some problems about projectile motion and formulas for maximum altitude, or the or the time of flight, or the distance of flight, or the equation of motion came in handy. It saved me some time. And miscellany of trigonometric identities also were very useful for math problems. So I tried to sort of identify the patterns of possible problems that could come on the exam, and the formulas that could have been useful. So I tried to memorize as many formulas as I could. And again, I practiced as much as I could, and to gain speed. So my main purpose of being in London at the time was actually to complete the UCL Engineering Foundation course. And I found that experience very useful, and that course actually enabled me to progress to Cambridge. However, the admissions exam was in the middle of October, and the foundation course began at the end of September. So I hadn't experienced much of the course, as the exam was like 2 weeks into the course. So from what I've heard, personally, interviews can vary greatly depending on the college. Some interviewers like to ask maths questions and personal questions and physics questions as well. My interview was only physics questions. It was just 50 minutes of physics questions. So that was my experience. There were no personal questions or maths questions. There was some math involved in, of course, in the questions about physics, of course, but there was no pure maths question. So one of the challenging aspects of the interview is to enunciate your thoughts, your thought process clearly, to an interviewer so they can understand how you approach a particular problem. And very useful practice for me was that I often tried to sort of put myself on the spot with questions and sort of try to spontaneously answer questions in maths or physics. And I think that was realistic self-replication of an interview, so to say. And I also had a few mock interview sessions with tutors, and that was very helpful, because that was also a very realistic recreation of an interview setting with an actual professional. So one example of a question that I was actually asked during my interview, sort of an example on a more of a simpler side, was to analyze and to write down and analyze all the forces acting on an airplane, and analyze different stages of flight of the airplane. And they asked me a few questions around that topic. And I remember when I was writing down the forces that act on the airplane during the cruise flight, the flight the stage of the flight when it maintains constant altitude and speed. I kept in mind that the forces had to balance out, so the plane was in equilibrium. So that actually helped me to answer that question. So one of the things that actually helped me to overcome the stress and pressure of an interview was trying to actually enjoy the process, trying to enjoy the unique experience of conversation with Cambridge professors, and the realization that stress or nervousness doesn't help you in any way. It actually interferes with your thought process. So being calm is the best way to approach it. That's what I thought, and I think that helped me. So I think that my successful application is a result of not one single factor, but a combination of a multitude of different factors, such as willingness to work hard, curiosity and passion, and enjoyment of the subject, the education that I received from my school, the mock interviews that will help with the in preparation for the interview. I think all of these factors cumulatively resulted in the successful application. So if I were to give advice to students from countries that have no access to A-level or IB diploma and who want to get accepted to top UK university, I would say that you have to work as hard as you can to hone your skills in maths and physics, or the degree that you want to apply to. And as an international, you have to develop your English language, especially speaking skills, which is going to be very useful, essential actually, for an interview. And you have to find a course that prestigious UK universities will consider. In my case, this was a foundation course at UCL. Well, I think I'll just enjoy the process and continue learning and developing my expertise. And currently, I am most interested in mechanical and electrical engineering. But engineering course at Cambridge actually starts off very broad, and the specialization begins in the third year onwards. And maybe my interests will change by that time. I'm not sure yet, but As of now, I am most interested in mechanical and electrical engineering. There are numerous top contenders for the number one spot of the most crucial factor or aspect of a successful university application or quality. And if I were to choose one, I would probably choose interest, enthusiasm, how deeply and how much you strive to learn and become an expert in that field, and how interested you are in your field. I think it's the most important factor, because that's what drives a person to take action. How interested they are in this field. This is what will also drive the person to work hard. So I think that's the most important factor.